Hey y'all, today we're going to talk about dorm moving. Now, if you've not been to my channel before, my name is Shannon and I have worked in the college atmosphere for over 12 years. Majority of those years were actually in the dorms. I supervised the RAs, the front desk staff, movement, programming, maintenance things, all the things having to do with dorms. And so beyond my professional experience, I also lived in the dorms for 5 years as a student. So I'm going to take you through all my tips and tricks for move-in for the dorms. Now, I'm going to break this down into 3 sections. We're going to talk about move-in prep, so things to do before you leave. We're going to talk about the day of, and then we're going to talk about items that you should bring to make your experience so much easier. So let's go ahead and jump on in to prepping for dorm move-in. First things first, of course, please, please, please read your housing policy guide. Now, it might be titled something different, but make sure you read the lease, read the policy guide, know what items are allowed and not allowed in the dorms. I cannot tell you the amount of times I had to tell people as a student staff and as professional staff, like, hey, you can't bring that in here. And families, of course, are obviously and justifiably upset when they have hauled up a mini fridge, but we don't allow mini fridges because we provide them, or a microwave, which we don't allow, or some other item that's against policies. And, they've traveled with it, they maybe purchased it, they want to have it in their kids' dorm room, but it's not allowed. And so, of course, on move-in day, they have to turn around and just take that item back home, which is so frustrating. It's a waste of money, it's a waste of time for everybody. So read that lease, read that policy guide ahead of time so you know all the things that you are not allowed to bring. And sometimes there's also specifications on certain things. Like a good example of that is a lot of students like to have lights in their dorm room, and I mean like around the ceiling, like LED strips. Depending on the school, they're going to have different policies, what adhesive you're allowed to use to put those up, or how many of them you're allowed to link in a row to put up. Those are a really popular item in dorm rooms, but if you're using the wrong adhesive, it's usually going to take the paint off. And if you're linking too many in a row, it could be a fire hazard. So it's good to know those ins and outs of what is allowed and, how you're allowed to do things. Number 2, when packing, pack with bags and not boxes. Now you'll see all over online people recommending those like huge blue IKEA bags. I always recommend use what you got and then buy if you need to. Reusable grocery shopping bags. We all have a ton of those. Use those. Duffel bags, any random totes you have. Pack with what you have first before you buy things. And I always go with soft-sided surfaces as much as you can versus using straight luggage or using boxes because you need to shove so much in a vehicle. Like, let's be honest, like you're shoving a lot in a vehicle for dorm move-in typically. So soft-sided items are easier to shove in than hard, bulky items that do not bend around. So I always recommend bags. Now, number 3, when you're packing, pack like products together. So try to pack all the things you need for your desk together when possible, or all your clothes together, your shoes, things that are similar that you're to store in a similar area. That'll make it easier for when you're unpacking. And also try to think of what you need first should come out of the vehicle first. So things you might not need right away. No, you're not going to need all your extra clothes right away. You're not going to need your school supplies usually like day 1 of move-in. Put those in the car first, like shove them down on the bottom. And that way anything you need right away that you're planning to use, like your bedding, is kind of like the last to go in the vehicle, and it's easier for you to grab and use right away. Now, number 4, most schools are going to provide you with some sort of big cart that rolls for you to use to move items from the vehicle into the dorm. But many schools do not have enough to provide students with more than one bin, or there's just not enough for all the students who are there in general. I always recommend if you have them, you don't need to go out and purchase them. But if you have them, if you have one of those like collapsible rolling wagons or a hand truck, things that you could use to move items easily, or even if you have, a large suitcase, like some of us have those huge ones that come in a set where you're like, this is not practical for regular travel, that you could use to put things in initially and then take it back to the car, shove more stuff in it, take it back to the room. Those could be helpful to have, especially if you're trying to get stuff out of the car quickly. Depending on the school, they might have a loading area for you where you're only allowed to get stuff out for a short period of time and then you have to move your vehicle, or it's hot and you just want to get moving. If you have those items like a hand truck or a wheeling wagon, it might be might be a good idea to bring those just to speed up the process a bit. Now, these next few all go together, but number 5, start early. If you are able to maybe go into town the night before, if you're traveling there and stay the night and then move in the next day, or you're driving up, like leave at the crack of dawn and get there as soon as move-in starts, it's gonna make your life so much easier. I'd say most move-ins typically start about 8, 8:30. And most people start showing up between 10 and noon or 10 to 1. And that is when it is bananas. There's too many people moving in. Like, unless you have set move-in times, which most schools have moved away from, it's gonna get busier as the day goes on, and then we'll get even busier in the afternoon when people have moved into the dorms and then are going out and doing all their shopping and coming back to bring items into the dorms. So if you start early, you're gonna beat the heat, you're gonna get stuff in easier. Usually it's easier for parking. Start as early as you can. Now, number 6, please wear closed-toe shoes. I know usually we're moving our students in August and September, and sandals are often the way to go during those warmer months, but wear closed-toed shoes. Nothing hurts as much as a cartwheel rolling over your big toe when you're wearing sandals. Like, that is an injury you can easily avoid. You potentially are going up and down stairs. You're going to be sharing elevators with people. Like, there's so many opportunities for people to step on your feet or for items or carts to roll over your feet. Just wear the closed-toed shoes. It's worth it. Now, number 7 is to make sure to wear a hat and bring water. You really want to make sure you are dressing for the area. Now, obviously, not all schools are super hot during move-in, but a lot are, and a lot you are making trips back and forth from the car to the building. Like, it's going to be hot. You're going to be out in the sun. Make sure you're hydrating. Make sure that you have a hat on to have that sun protection. Maybe even some sunscreen if, you're fair like me and you burn easily. Just make sure you're taking care of yourself. Number 8, before moving, check and see if your building has an elevator. Now, not all dorms do. Many older dorms still just have staircases, and that, it can suck. Check to see if you have an elevator, but know also if the building has an elevator, there are going to be lines for it. They're only allowed typically 2 bins in at a time, so you're standing in line for a while trying to use those and get things in. So be prepared if you're not using a rolly cart to use the stairs. Be prepared mentally, physically, if there is not an elevator to be using the stairs. You can also ask staff if you're needing to use the stairs if there are side staircases that you can use, versus the main staircase, which is going to be the busiest. I know in a lot of traditional style dorms, there's like a main middle staircase. And on the end, we typically have, emergency staircases, but sometimes they allow you to go in between the floors, just not out the bottom. So you could go into the building, go down a hallway to that staircase that no one's using because it's out of the way, and go up and down there and have way less traffic on the staircase. That is a possibility to look into. Now, number 9, this really depends on your dorm room and furniture setup, but I would bring a small toolkit with you and be prepared to adjust bed heights. A lot of dorm room beds are extra long twins, and they are on the set of racks that allow you to move the level of the bed up or down, and depending on your height or what you're trying to store under the bed, you may want to adjust the height of that bed. And I will always recommend a mallet is great for those. A rubber mallet is going to help you so much. Some of them are easy to do, some of them are stupid hard. You might want a screwdriver or whatnot for putting different pieces together depending on what you are bringing. Be prepared that you are going to do a bit of manual labor to adjust furniture to your preference in the room. Now, number 10 with our preparing ahead, it's terrible for me to say this, but do not purchase dorm items from anything that the school sends you. Many schools do a fundraiser with company programs that allow you as the residents to be able to order bed linens, pillows, mirrors, over the door hanging storage items directly from this company, who then will usually send the items to the school, and depending on the school, they might be in your dorm room already when you move in. They may be waiting for you at the mailroom. Some still send it home. Why I hesitate on this, number 1, is they're always overpriced. You are going to find way better deals going to TJ Maxx, HomeGoods, Walmart, Target, online shopping, whatnot. than you are through these fundraising things. And yes, it's cool that they're getting fundraising. Usually it goes to like student groups and student leadership things or programming funds to provide events and food for residents. But it's vastly overpriced, and usually like the selection is pretty slim. Like I just would not purchase from there. If you're trying to save money and do a dorm room on a budget, it's just not worth it. They're also going to usually advertise to you things you do not need. Like, yes, we see it all over TikTok, but like you don't usually need a headboard for your extra long twin bed. Like, is it cute? Yes. Does it make your dorm look adorable? Yes. Are you going to ever use it again once you move out of the dorms? No. Like, and then what, you're going to try to sell it or just donate it? Is it really practical? Usually they're not super strong, so you can't really lean on them too much. They're going to be trying to sell you things that look adorable, but their function might not be there. And then I also want you to think about if they do send the items directly to the dorm and not home. Let's say you order bedding from them. Your bedding is not washed. So yes, it's convenient. It's already there, which might be great if you're flying in. But you then need to wash your bedding, because do not use bedding items that are not washed. As someone who's worked retail, like, you don't want to know what goes on behind the scenes. Wash your bed linen before using them. So if they're getting mailed directly to campus, you then need to turn around and do laundry to make those items safe for you to truly sleep on. All right, y'all. So that is everything for prepping for move-in. Let's talk about move-in day. Like, these are my top tips to help you be successful for the whole year, setting yourself up on move-in day. Now, number one, when possible, which depending on the school, this might not be, check in and go check out the room first prior to bringing any of your items. Now, why I recommend this, you want to really see the condition of your room and document anything that like is not up to standard. Like if there are carpet stains, if there's a tear in the mattress, if there's a scratch on the desk, there's paint chipping off, you want to be able to visually see all that and take photos and videos and document it without any of your items all in the way. Also, you may want to rearrange your room. And if you're wanting to move beds and desks, like, it's so much easier without your stuff in the way or having to have your stuff piled in the hallway in other people's ways. Like, if possible, go to the room first, document the space, move around what you need to move around, do what you can do, and then go get your items. It honestly, yes, it's annoying to then go back out to the car, but it will set you up for success later. The next one is, as soon as you can, check for any advertisements in the building for your first community meeting. Now, this might be for your wing, your floor, your building, any mandatory meetings, attend them. Like, check out for those advertisements. Usually they're posted in like community bathrooms or in hallways if you're a traditional style dorm, or if the RA leaves you a welcome letter on your desk or in your like suite style area. Check for those important meetings, because you're going to find out so much info that is important, and reinforce the rules as well. But it's good to go to those meetings. You're going to meet other people living in the community. And going into our next tip, meeting your RA. Now, you're going to meet your RA at your community meeting, but also day of move-in, go try to find your RA and meet them. If you don't meet them at check-in or while you're trying to move your stuff in, do your best that day to meet them. They are your resource. They are paid to be there as a resource, to answer your questions, to help you with little things, to give advice. Go find that resource ASAP, introduce yourself, figure out how they want to do contact info. Some RAs, will use WhatsApp app, some will do email, some will do text, depending on their preferences. Figure out how you're going to communicate with them other than just in person, because it's going to set you up for later when you truly need them. Now, next is, while you're in the room and you're unpacking, start making a list in your phone of things you need to go pick up at the store. Like, no matter how prepared you are, you may need things at the store. You may need, a longer power strip to reach to where you want to get your lamp or to be able to charge your phone. You may need a rug. You may need new command strips. Like, you might need different things. So make a list in your phone as you go. It's going to make your life so much easier later to just have that list already ready. And know that many stores in the areas around colleges typically stock up on all the dorm room essentials. So you are going to find things around town. So when you have that list, if it's things you want to get ASAP and go find, Typically, if there's Target, Walmart, TJ Maxx in town, you're going to be able to go find it. They're going to have those items for you. Many of them will have them on sale. And don't forget, you can also look at with Walmart and Target doing pickup orders and not just having to go in the stores. The stores will be busy during move-in days. I always joke around with my friends on campus, like for us to do our personal shopping prior to move-in, because then the stores are going to get super busy. But you can also set up pickup orders, so that's something you could do as well while you're in your room. Instead of just making a list on your phone, you could be setting up a Target or Walmart pickup order, adding things to cart as you go to make that even easier. And my last one for day of move-in is so many people like to mail things ahead of time, or they're putting Amazon orders in right away. I need you to know that day of move-in, the mailroom will be open, but it's going to be bananas and it's going to be packed. Having ran a student mailroom for the dorms before, I can tell you that typically the first few weeks of school, they're receiving like 1,000+ packages a day. It's a lot of packages to process every single day, to get notifications out to students, to organize. Know that sometimes you're going to get the notification from Amazon that your package is delivered, and it's going to take a few hours until the next day to get notification from the mailroom that you can actually pick it up. You may also be standing in line at the mailroom to pick up your item. Be prepared with whatever they tell you to be prepared with, whether that's like bringing your ID or other form of identification to be able to actually get your package. That will speed up the process as well. All right, y'all. So we talked about preparing for move-in. We talked about move-in day, but let's talk about what you should bring for move-in. Now, kind of sprinkled throughout there, we talked about maybe a hand cart or a wagon. We talked about potentially bringing some tools, but what are some other things you may need? First, always bring cleaning supplies. Now, depending on when you move in, your dorm room may have been cleaned. Your dorm room is going to be cleaned by custodial maintenance staff. Like, things will be fixed, it will be clean. But sometimes the rooms then sit there for a week or two in between and can get a little dusty, crusty. So it's nice to bring like Clorox wipes, Lysol wipes, or some sort of spray so you can just spray everything down, give it a little extra sanitize before you start putting your items away. I do recommend that. A lot of times rooms get dusty because they're cleaned and then they just sit there for a few days to a week or two. So bring some cleaning items that you can clean the space with. Power strips. If there's one thing I can say you need to purchase and have is power strips. Get ones that are surge protectors with longer cords. You're going to want those day of, because you are going to be trying to figure out how do you plug in your cell phone? How do you plug in your laptop to charge it? If you have a bedside lamp, you're going to want the availability to that power pretty easily, so bring those surge protectors. Now, another fun one is trash bags. Bring large trash bags, whether that's kitchen trash bags or the huge, big black trash bags that can fit everything. When you're unpacking, you're most likely going to have trash, especially if you have newer items and you're taking packaging off. It's so much easier just to have a huge trash bag and be shoving that stuff in there and then taking it out to the dumpster or the trash room, versus most dorm room trash cans are like itty bitty. Like, you can't fit much in them. So bring those trash bags to make that process faster. It's also helpful, like if you run out of bags, you can also use trash bags to bring items in. I always recommend you putting like big bedding, pillows, and whatnot in trash bags to bring them to the dorm, and then you can use those bags for any trash you have and take that out. And then this last one of items to bring is what you are going to put stuff on the walls with. Now, depending on your school's policy guide, it's going to tell you what you can and cannot use. It might tell you that in certain buildings you're allowed to use tacks or nails. It might tell you you're only allowed to use blue tape. It might say you can use command strips or not. Depending on the building, command strips can really easily take the paint off and part of the drywall, which is not fun. So look in the policy guide of what you're allowed to use and bring those items ahead of time. Like, yes, you can get them in the stores, but a thing of command strips or blue tape does not take up a lot of space in your packing. And that way you can get those items on the wall quicker and out of your way. Now, another trick is if your school does not allow command strips, something you can do is to use blue painter's tape or green painter's tape, whatever painter tape is your favorite. Put a strip of that on the wall and then put the command strip onto that painter's tape. Now, typically that will protect the walls. Now, I'm not saying guaranteeing it's going to, but if you're really committed to using command hooks or using command strips, putting that painter's tape on first is a way to attempt to protect the wall. Now, of course, it's all going to depend on the paint, depend on the type of drywall or cinder block. It's going to depend on how you take the item off, but that is a way to kind of sometimes cheat the system successfully. Alright, y'all, so those are all my tips and things to prepare for and bring for a move-in. Let me know in the comments below, is there anything else you would add? What are your essentials for prepping for move-in? What are your things that you need to have move-in day from your experience or things that you have heard? Please make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you next Monday.